Why did you wake up at 3:47 a.m. last Tuesday with your heart pounding, not from a nightmare, but from something you couldn't name? Why does it feel like invisible hands have been rearranging the furniture of your life while you sleep? And why, tell me, why does this exact moment feel like you've been waiting for it your entire life without even knowing it? Stop, don't scroll, don't move. Chosen one. The setup has already been arranged. Before you pressed play, before you even picked up your phone tonight, God has been staging this moment like a Broadway director, positioning actors in the dark, and beloved, the curtain is about to rise. You feel it, don't you? That strange sensation crawling up your spine. You feel watched tonight, not by danger, but by destiny. Not by fear, but by the very finger of the Almighty tracing the outline of what's about to unfold. Your life has been on pause, not because you failed, not because you're forgotten, but because God was rearranging the scene. He's been moving props you couldn't see, shifting players you didn't know existed, rewriting dialogue in the spiritual realm while you sat in what felt like deafening silence. Think about it like this: you know that old radio your grandfather kept on the kitchen counter? The one that crackled and hissed until suddenly, miraculously, it caught the station and music poured through crystal clear. That's you tonight. After months, maybe years of static, you're finally tuning into the right frequency. Or picture this: you're sitting on your porch after dark, and suddenly the light switches on. You didn't flip it, someone inside the house did. That's what's happening right now in the spirit realm. The porch light of your destiny just got switched on, and heaven is illuminating what's been hidden in your darkness. You are not here by accident. This is not random. YouTube's algorithm didn't bring you here, the algorithm of the Almighty did. Your finger didn't find this video. This video found you. Before we go one word deeper, I want to pause and honor something sacred. Thank you to every single one of you who has supported this message through Super Thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just giving, you're sowing seeds into ground that will harvest hope for others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here. Your support, your time, your attention, it all matters. And if this message is already resonating with your soul, go ahead and plant that seed. Now listen carefully. Tonight is not just another night. Tonight is a divine stage, and heaven already set the lights. The orchestra is tuned, the script has been written, and you, yes, you have a line to recite. One instruction, one declaration, one prophetic word that will unlock what God positioned before you ever arrived. Stay with me, because before this night ends, you will realize God set all of this up for one thing He needs you to recite. Comment Amen if your spirit already feels something stirring. Why does your house feel so much bigger now that you're the only one living in it? Why do Sunday mornings, once filled with the smell of coffee and the sound of grandchildren laughing, now echo with silence so loud it hurts? And why, in God's name, does it feel like He stopped answering your prayers right when you needed Him most? Beloved, I know exactly where you are right now. You're sitting in that chair, the one that used to be theirs. You're staring at prescription bottles lined up on the kitchen counter like soldiers you never asked to command. You're checking your bank account at 2 a.m., doing math that doesn't add up no matter how many times you subtract and divide. You're wondering if anyone even remembers your name anymore. Your children call once a week if you're lucky. Your church friends have their own families now. The neighborhood you've lived in for 40 years feels foreign because everyone you knew has either moved away or moved on to glory. And you're still here, still breathing, still praying, still wondering why. Let me tell you something that's going to crack open everything you've been holding inside. That silence you've been sitting in, that deafening, suffocating quiet that makes you question if God even sees you anymore. That wasn't abandonment, dear one, that was preparation. Your nights have gotten quieter, not because God left, but because He was preparing a setup that required silence. You see, there are some moves of God that can only happen in the hush. There are some miracles that need the room completely cleared before they can enter. There are some divine appointments that demand every distraction be removed so you can hear one clear voice cutting through the darkness. Think about Elijah in 1 Kings chapter 19. He just called down fire from heaven. He just defeated 450 prophets of Baal. He was on the mountaintop of ministry, and then silence. God sent him to a cave. Alone, isolated, waiting, and when Elijah finally cried out, "Lord, where are you?" God didn't show up in the earthquake. He didn't show up in the fire. He showed up in what the Bible calls a still, small voice. But here's what breaks my heart. Elijah almost missed it because he was listening for the spectacular when God was whispering the essential. You lost your spouse 3 years ago, didn't you? Or maybe 5, maybe 10. Time blurs when grief becomes your only companion. That empty chair at the dinner table isn't just furniture anymore. It's a monument to everything you used to be. You set one plate instead of 2. You buy groceries for 1. You wake up reaching for someone who isn't there, and the cold sheets remind you that some losses don't heal, they just become part of your story. The bills keep coming even though the income stopped. Social Security wasn't supposed to feel this tight. Medicare doesn't cover what it used to. You're making choices between medicine and meals, between heat and health, between dignity and desperation. And nobody talks about this part of the golden years, do they? Nobody mentions that retirement can feel more like refinement, painful, isolating, humbling refinement. Your body is betraying you in ways you never imagined. Knees that used to dance now struggle with stairs. Eyes that once read fine print now need 3 pairs of glasses. Doctor's appointments have replaced lunch dates. And every ache, every pain, every new diagnosis whispers the same haunting question: how much time do I have left? But what if I told you that every single loss, every closed door, every silent night was God strategically positioning you for something so specific, so precise, so perfectly timed that it could only happen now? What if the empty chair was making room for a divine visitation? What if the loneliness was clearing the frequency so you could finally hear what heaven has been trying to tell you? Have you noticed old memories resurfacing lately? Moments from 30, 40, 50 years ago, suddenly vivid as yesterday? That's not dementia, beloved. That's divine download. God is reminding you of promises He spoke over you decades ago, promises you buried under responsibility, under survival, under the weight of just getting through. Have you felt like something is shifting around you? Like the spiritual atmosphere in your home has changed? Like you're on the edge of something you can't name but can definitely feel? That's not your imagination. That's the setup activating. Heaven has been rearranging furniture in the invisible realm, and you're about to see why. God wasn't making you wait because He forgot about you. He was positioning you. Every year of silence was a year of strategic placement. Every unanswered prayer was heaven saying, "Not yet, the setup isn't complete." Every moment you felt invisible, God was actually making you untouchable by anything that would distract you from this night. You are exactly where you need to be, at exactly the age you need to be, with exactly the story you need to have, because what God is about to release requires someone who's been stripped of everything except faith, someone who's lost enough to know that heaven is the only home that matters, someone who's old enough to be dangerous with wisdom and desperate enough to be fearless with obedience. If this sounds like you, if I just read your mail, type, "That's me" right now. Heaven sees honesty, and your confession is about to become your confirmation. The silence is breaking, chosen one. What if I told you that 70, 80, 90 years of your life weren't random chapters thrown together by chance? What if every disappointment, every detour, every moment you thought God was silent, what if all of it was written with surgical precision in a manuscript you've never seen? What if tonight, right now, that scroll is open in the courtroom of heaven, and your name is glowing on its page like fire on parchment? Listen to me carefully, chosen one. Heaven is not a distant cloud where angels strum harps and God occasionally checks his watch. Heaven is a divine theater, And tonight, this very night, the spotlight has swung to you. The stage is set. The audience of eternity is leaning forward. And the director himself is whispering, "It's time." You've spent your whole life thinking you were improvising, making it up as you went along, surviving by the skin of your teeth. But what if every single scene was already written? What if the God who declares the end from the beginning, Isaiah 46:10, has been reading from a script that had your name in the opening credits before the foundation of the world? Think about it. That job you lost in 1987 that devastated you, that was Act 2, Scene 3. That move you made in 92 that felt like failure, that was a stage transition. That person who walked out of your life in 2003 and broke your heart into pieces you're still finding, that wasn't a mistake in the script. That was a pivotal plot twist that had to happen to get you here. Right now, in the throne room of the Almighty, there is a scroll with your name written in the handwriting of God Himself. Revelation 5:1 speaks of a scroll sealed with 7 seals that only the Lamb was worthy to open. But beloved, there's another scroll. Psalm 139:16 tells us, "Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be." Every day, every hour, every breath, written before you took your first step. Not by accident, not by coincidence, by orchestration. Angels are leaning in right now. I'm not speaking poetically. I'm telling you the spiritual reality. Hebrews 1:14 calls them ministering spirits sent to serve those who will inherit salvation. They've been watching your story unfold, and tonight they're watching closer than ever because they know what's written on the next page. They've read ahead. They know what you're about to step into. The courtroom is silent. Can you feel it? That holy hush that falls when something eternal is about to intersect with something temporal, when heaven is about to reach down and touch earth. Job 1-6 describes a scene where the angels came to present themselves before the Lord. Tonight, they're not just presenting themselves, they're presenting you. Your case is being heard. Not a trial for your sins, Jesus settled that on Calvary. This is a presentation of your completion, your preparation, your qualification for what comes next. But here's what's breaking through my spirit right now, and I need you to catch this. You've been waiting for God to do something spectacular. You've been praying for the heavens to open, for lightning to strike, for some undeniable sign that He hasn't forgotten you. But God doesn't need to perform for you tonight. He needs you to recite. There's a difference, beloved, and it's a difference that will determine whether you step into this setup or miss it entirely. Performance is about you proving something. Recitation is about you repeating something that's already been written. Performance requires skill. Recitation requires surrender. God didn't ask you to perform tonight. He asked you to recite. You know what recitation is? It's when a student stands before the class and speaks words they've memorized. Words written by someone wiser, someone who knew the answer before the question was ever asked. The student doesn't create the content. They simply give voice to what's already true. That's you tonight. You're not creating your breakthrough. You're reciting it. You're not manufacturing your miracle. You're declaring what's already been written in heaven's manuscript about your life. Moses didn't perform at the Red Sea. He recited. God said, "Lift up your rod and stretch out your hand." And Moses simply obeyed the script. Joshua didn't perform at Jericho. He recited. God gave him the battle plan, and Joshua followed the stage directions: march, don't speak, and on the 7th day, shout. Lazarus didn't perform in the tomb. He recited. Jesus called his name, and dead bones responded to a script written before time began. Every moment of your life has been leading to this night. Every tear you've cried was ink in the pen. Every prayer you've whispered was a page being turned. Every year you've survived was another chapter moving you closer to this climactic scene. You are not behind schedule. You are not forgotten. You are not irrelevant because of your age. You are precisely positioned, strategically placed, divinely appointed for this exact moment when heaven says, "Now, recite what I've written over you. not by accident, not by coincidence, by orchestration. The manuscript is open, your name is glowing, the angels are silent, the spotlight is on, and all of heaven is waiting to hear you speak the words that have been waiting in eternity for you to give them voice. Write, I receive right now. Type it in the comments. Don't wait, don't hesitate. That's not just engagement, that's you opening the next chapter. That's you telling heaven, I'm ready to recite. Because what you're about to speak into existence isn't your idea, it's His instruction. And when you recite what God has already written, impossibilities don't just bow, they shatter. But the question burning in the atmosphere right now is this: do you have the courage to stop performing and start reciting? Now we're getting to the part that's going to hurt before it heals. And I need you to stay with me, because what I'm about to say will either offend you or set you free. And beloved, freedom is worth the offense. You've been carrying something for decades that was never meant to be explained away with Christian cliches. Nobody gets to tell you that your pain was just part of God's plan when you buried your spouse and woke up to an empty bed for 3,000 mornings in a row. Nobody gets to smile and say God works in mysterious ways when your own children stopped calling, stopped visiting, stopped caring whether you're alive or dead. Let me speak directly to the wounds that nobody else has the courage to name. That betrayal, you know the one I'm talking about. The person you trusted most, the one you would have died for, looked you in the eye and chose someone else. Chose something else. Chose anything else but you. And the worst part, they never apologized, never acknowledged, never looked back. You've spent 20 years trying to forgive someone who never even asked for forgiveness, and the bitterness tastes like metal in your mouth every single day. Your family, they scattered like seeds in the wind, didn't they? The children you raised, the grandchildren you prayed over, they've got their own lives now. You see their faces on Facebook, living in cities you've never visited, celebrating holidays you weren't invited to. You comment on their photos, love you, sweetheart, with a heart emoji, and they don't even hit like. You've become a notification they swipe away, a phone call they'll return later, a memory they'll feel guilty about at your funeral. And your body, dear God, your body. Can't read the pill bottles without holding them at arm's length. Can't sleep through the night without getting up 3 times. Your hands shake when you try to sign your name. Your knees scream when you climb stairs. And every time you look in the mirror, you see a stranger wearing your face. And you wonder when you got so old, so tired, so invisible. The doctor's offices know you by name now. You've got more prescriptions than you have dinner invitations, more co-pays than conversations. And late at night, when the house is quiet and the pain is loud, you've whispered words you'd never say out loud. God, why am I still here? What's the point? Why didn't you just take me home when you took everyone I loved? But here's what I need you to hear with every fiber of your being. Here's the revelation that's going to crack you open and put you back together in the same breath. Your suffering wasn't punishment, it was preparation. The weight you've been carrying wasn't designed to break you, it was building your voice for tonight. Every tear you cried in secret baptized you for this moment. Every night you survived when you wanted to die qualified you for what God is about to release through you. Job lost everything: his children, his wealth, his health, his reputation. His own wife told him to curse God and die. Job 2-9. But here's what most preachers won't tell you. Job's suffering wasn't about Job. It was about everyone who would come after him. It was about you, sitting in your living room 3,000 years later, needing proof that you can lose everything and still find God faithful. David wrote Psalm 23, "The Lord is my shepherd." But do you know where he wrote it? In a cave, hiding from a king who wanted him dead, abandoned by his own family, betrayed by his friends. Those words about green pastures and still waters, they came from a man who had neither. They came from a man who learned that God's presence is the only pasture that matters. Paul wrote half the New Testament from a prison cell. Philippians, the letter about joy, was written in chains. 2 Corinthians talks about being hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted but not abandoned, struck down but not destroyed. That's not theory, beloved. That's testimony. That's a man who discovered that survival itself is prophecy. You lived through things that should have destroyed you. The cancer that should have killed you, you're still here. The depression that should have drowned you, you're still breathing. The loss that should have erased you, you're still standing. The loneliness that should have silenced you, you're still speaking, still praying, still believing, even when belief feels like lifting bricks with broken hands. Your survival was never accidental, it was prophetic. Every morning you opened your eyes when you wanted to keep them closed forever was God saying, "Not yet. I'm not done with you. The setup isn't complete. Those trembling hands, they're not weak, they're seasoned. Those tired eyes, they've seen enough to know truth from lies. That broken heart, it's been shattered and mended so many times, it's become a mosaic that catches light in ways whole hearts never could. You are not a victim of your story, chosen one. You are the living proof that God's faithfulness outlasts human failure. You are the walking testimony that mercy is stronger than misery. You are the breathing evidence that the grave doesn't get the final word. If this is speaking to you, if every word is landing like a key in a lock you didn't know was there, heart this video right now so heaven sees your faith. Let your click be your confession. Let your response be your resurrection. Because here's what's about to happen next. Here's why God kept you alive through everything that tried to kill you. The suffering made sense. The survival was strategic. And tonight you're going to discover exactly what God has been preparing you to speak. But now listen to me very carefully, chosen one, because what I'm about to reveal will explain why you couldn't sleep tonight, why you picked up your phone at this exact hour, why your finger stopped scrolling at this exact video. Tonight is not random. Tonight is appointed. There are moments in the kingdom of God that exist outside of regular time. The Greeks had two words for time, chronos and kairos. Chronos is the tick-tock of the clock on your wall, the calendar pages turning, the years adding up on your birth certificate. But kairos? Kairos is God's time, divine interruption. The appointed hour when heaven breaks into your chronos and declares, "This is it. This is your moment." And beloved, you just walked into your kairos. You see, some doors only open at night, not because God loves drama, but because certain blessings require darkness to be fully appreciated. Think about it. Stars only shine when the sun goes down. The brightest constellations are invisible during daylight. And you, dear one, have been walking through your longest night, haven't you? But what if that darkness wasn't abandonment? What if it was the very backdrop God needed to reveal what He's been hiding in plain sight? Ecclesiastes 3:1 declares, "To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven. Not might be, not could be. There is a time, your time, and it's ticking into position right now. Certain blessings only activate after long seasons of waiting. Abraham waited 25 years for Isaac. Moses wandered 40 years before the burning bush. Hannah wept year after year before Samuel was born. And you've been waiting so long, you almost forgot what you were waiting for. But God never forgot. He's been counting every tear, every sleepless night, every whispered prayer you thought disappeared into the ceiling. Listen to the rhythm of this truth. Feel it pulse in your spirit. The train is arriving. Can you hear it? The door is unlocking. Can you feel it? The clock is striking midnight. Can you sense it? This is not metaphor, beloved. This is movement in the supernatural realm. Right now, as these words wash over your soul, angelic forces are positioning themselves around your situation. Demonic resistance that's blocked you for decades is being dismantled. Doors that have been welded shut by disappointment are creaking open on ancient hinges. You want to know why it had to be tonight? Because you're finally desperate enough. You're finally empty enough. You're finally broken enough of your own strength that God can trust you with His. Young people chase miracles with energy and ambition, but you You've lived long enough to know that miracles don't come from your effort, they come from His mercy. You've buried enough dreams to know that resurrection is God's specialty. You've walked through enough valleys to trust the shepherd even when you can't see where He's leading. That's why it's your hour. That's why it's your night. That's why heaven waited until you were 70, 80, 90 years old to release what you're about to receive. Because this blessing requires the kind of faith that only comes from surviving what should have killed you. 2 Peter 3-8 reminds us, "With the Lord 1 day is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as 1 day." Your timeline and God's timeline have never matched, have they? You've been living in Chronos, watching the clock, counting the years, feeling time slip away. But God has been operating in Kairos, orchestrating, arranging, positioning every piece of your story to converge at this singular moment. The prophet Habakkuk cried out in chapter 2 verse 3, "For the vision is yet for an appointed time, though it tarries, wait for it. Because it will surely come, it will not tarry." You thought the promise was late, but it was right on schedule, heaven's schedule. The appointed time, and that appointed time is now. Heaven's clock just struck your moment. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel more ready or more worthy or more spiritual. Tonight, this hour, this second, God is standing at the threshold of your situation saying, "This is it, repeat after me." But here's what you need to understand about divine timing. It doesn't wait, it doesn't linger, it doesn't send reminder notifications. When God says now, He means now. When the Kairos moment arrives, you either step into it or you watch it pass by. How many of you have lived long enough to see a moment you should have seized but didn't? A door that opened but you hesitated. An opportunity that knocked but you were too afraid, too cautious, too convinced you weren't ready. And then it closed. And you spent years wondering, what if? This is not that moment. This is your redemption of every what if you've ever carried. This is God giving you one more chance, not because you deserve it, but because He delights in you. Not because you've earned it, but because His mercy triumphs over judgment. Type 1111 right now if you can feel it. If something in your spirit is confirming that this night, this hour, this message is your appointed time, let heaven see your agreement. Let the angels witness your yes. But before I give you the words to recite, before I unlock what heaven has instructed me to release over your life, you must understand why they hold power. Because words without understanding are just noise. But words spoken with revelation, they become weapons. They become keys. They become the very voice of God in your mouth. So, stay with me, chosen one, because what comes next will change everything. Now listen to me very carefully, chosen one, because what I'm about to reveal will explain why your entire life has been leading to this single moment. Why every prayer you've whispered into the darkness wasn't ignored, it was recorded. Why every tear that fell on your pillow wasn't wasted, it was collected. Why every year you've lived wasn't just aging, it was accumulating authority. God doesn't just hear you when you speak. He responds when you recite what He's already spoken. There's a difference, beloved, a massive difference. When you pray from your heart, heaven listens. But when you recite what God has already declared over your life, heaven moves. When you speak back to God the very words He first spoke over creation, over prophets, over His own Son, something shifts in the invisible realm that cannot be shifted any other way. Let me take you back through Scripture, and I need you to see this pattern with fresh eyes. This isn't theology for seminaries. This is power for your living room tonight. Moses stood at the Red Sea with 2 million terrified Israelites behind him and the entire Egyptian army charging forward. He didn't make up a pretty prayer. He didn't wing it with positive thinking. Exodus 14:15 tells us, God said to Moses, "Why are you crying out to me? Tell the Israelites to move forward." The same water that was a wall of death became a pathway of deliverance because Moses recited what heaven had already declared. David stood in the valley of Elah, staring at a 9-foot giant covered in 125 pounds of armor. Goliath mocked him. The armies trembled. But David didn't create his own battle cry. 1 Samuel 17:45 records his words, "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty." He recited the identity of God, and the giant fell with one stone. And Jesus, oh beloved, this is where it gets undeniable. When Satan tempted him in the wilderness after 40 days of fasting, when he was weak, hungry, vulnerable, what did the Son of God do? He didn't debate. He didn't explain. He recited, "It is written, it is written, it is written." 3 times Jesus spoke back to the enemy the very scriptures that had been spoken over creation. And the devil fled. Do you see the pattern? Do you understand what I'm telling you? The most powerful moments in Scripture didn't happen through human creativity. They happened through divine recitation. But here's what's going to shake you to your core. Here's why tonight is different from every other night you've lived through. Words spoken at the right moment shift the unseen. Not any words, not any time. The right words at the right moment create what the Bible calls kairos, God's appointed time when heaven and earth collide. You've been waiting your whole life for this moment, and you didn't even know it. Every Sunday you sat in church, every Bible you underlined, every hymn you sang with tears running down your face, every midnight prayer when you couldn't sleep. It was all preparing your voice for tonight, because your voice carries something no young person's voice can carry. Your voice carries history. Your voice carries tears from funerals and tears from births. Your voice carries the weight of decades walking with God through valleys that would have killed lesser souls. Your voice carries dignity that only age can forge and authority that only suffering can seal. When a 20-year-old speaks faith, heaven hears potential. But when you speak faith at 70, 80, 90 years old, after you've buried your spouse, after you've survived cancer, after you've watched your children stumble and rise, after you've made it through recessions and depressions and diagnoses that doctors said were terminal, heaven doesn't just hear you. Beloved, heaven stands at attention. The angels assigned to your life lean in when you open your mouth because they know something the enemy forgot. They know that voices refined by fire carry frequencies that shake the demonic realm. They know that prayers prayed through dentures and hearing aids and vocal cords that aren't what they used to be somehow carry more weight in the courts of heaven than all the shouting of 1,000 conferences. God listens differently to elders. He just does. Psalm 92:14 promises, "They will still bear fruit in old age. They will stay fresh and green." Not were fresh, not used to be green. Will be. Present tense, active, alive, bearing fruit that only comes from roots that have gone deep through decades of staying planted. Tonight you're going to recite something, not read it, not think about it. Recite it out loud. In your living room, in your bedroom, in your car, wherever you are, you're going to speak words that God Himself has prepared for this exact moment in your life. And when you do, I need you to understand what happens in the realm you cannot see. When you speak these words tonight, angels move. Not might move, not could move, they move. Daniel 10:12 tells us that the moment Daniel set his heart to understand and humble himself before God, his words were heard and an angel was dispatched. The angel told him, "Since the first day that you set your mind to gain understanding and to humble yourself before your God, your words were heard, and I have come in response to them. Your words tonight will be heard, and the response has already been sent." The key is turning in the lock, chosen one. Can you feel it? That's not anxiety, that's anticipation. That's the breath before the breakthrough. That's the second before the sea splits, before the giant falls, before the stone rolls away. If your spirit feels the build-up, if something inside you is trembling with holy expectation right now, comment, "Ready." Let heaven know you're prepared for what comes next. Because the setup is complete. The stage is set, the lights are positioned, and you're about to speak the words that shift your destiny. Now we've arrived at the moment everything has been building toward. Every loss you've endured, every tear you've cried, every silent night you've survived it, all led to this exact second. And I need you to understand something that's going to shake you to your foundation. What you're about to speak isn't just words. It's the key heaven has been waiting for you to turn. Chosen one, breathe. Just breathe. Because what you speak next is the reason God arranged everything tonight. This is why your spouse had to go home early, so you'd be desperate enough to listen. This is why your bank account stayed empty, so you'd know it's not about your resources but His. This is why you felt forgotten, so when heaven finally speaks, you'd recognize the sound of your Father's voice above every other noise in your life. Do you remember Moses at the Red Sea? 2 million Israelites behind him, Pharaoh's army charging forward, water blocking the only escape route. Exodus 14:15 records the moment when Moses cried out to God, and the Almighty said something that will change how you see this moment. Why are you crying out to me? Tell the Israelites to move forward. God wasn't waiting for another prayer. He was waiting for obedience. He was waiting for Moses to speak the command that would split what looked impossible. The sea didn't part because Moses understood it. It parted because Moses declared it. Tonight, you are standing at your Red Sea. Behind you is everything that's been chasing you: debt, loneliness, regret, fear, the feeling that your best days died with your youth. In front of you is water so deep you can't see the bottom. But God isn't asking you to understand how this works. He's asking you to open your mouth and declare what He's already arranged. Listen to me carefully, beloved. There are miracles sitting in heaven's warehouse with your name written on the shipping label. There are breakthroughs that have been packaged, sealed, and ready for delivery. But they cannot be released until you speak the activation code. God doesn't need your faith to be perfect. He needs your mouth to be obedient. Think about Lazarus in John chapter 11. He'd been dead 4 days. 4 days, his body was already decomposing. His sisters had given up hope. The mourners had gone home. The tomb was sealed. But Jesus stood outside that grave and did something that defies every law of nature. He spoke to a dead man. Lazarus, come forth. And the dead man heard, rose, and walked out, still wrapped in burial clothes. Your situation looks dead, doesn't it? Your marriage, your finances, your health, your hope, they've been buried so long you stopped visiting the grave. But tonight, heaven is standing outside your tomb, and the voice of the Almighty is about to call forth what everyone else has already eulogized. Now here's what I need you to do, and I need you to do it exactly as I say. Don't think about it. Don't analyze it. Don't let doubt talk you out of this moment. You're going to speak a declaration that will echo in the throne room of God. You're going to activate what's been waiting in the invisible realm for your voice to release it. I want you to say these words. Say them out loud. I don't care if you're alone in your living room or sitting in a parking lot. I don't care if it's midnight or noon. Speak this with everything in you. Father, I step into what you prepared. I accept what you arranged. I receive what you released tonight. Say it again, louder this time. Let your voice shake if it needs to. Let tears fall if they want to. Let your spirit roar what your mind can't comprehend. Father, I step into what you prepared. I accept what you arranged. I receive what you released tonight. One more time. This time, say it like you're breaking chains. Say it like you're opening prison doors. Say it like you're commanding mountains to move and seas to split. Father, I step into what you prepared. I accept what you arranged. I receive what you released tonight. The moment you spoke those words, heaven moved. I'm not being poetic. I'm not exaggerating for effect. In the supernatural realm, something just shifted. Angels just got their marching orders. Demons just lost their legal right to block what's coming. The very atmosphere around your life just changed frequencies. You felt it, didn't you? That warmth in your chest, that sudden weight lifting off your shoulders, that inexplicable knowing that something eternal just collided with something temporal and you'll never be the same. This wasn't a message, beloved. This was a visitation. God didn't lead you to this video to inform you. He led you here to transform you. Every second you've watched, every word that's resonated in your spirit, every moment you felt seen and known, that was the divine setup activating in real time. Do you understand what just happened? You didn't stumble onto a YouTube video. You walked into a divine appointment that was scheduled before the foundation of the world. Your name was written in heaven's calendar for this exact night, this exact hour, this exact moment when you would finally speak what God has been waiting 70, 80, 90 years to hear you declare. Write the phrase in the comments right now. Don't wait, don't hesitate. Public declaration activates private miracles. When you type those words where others can see them, you're doing what the Israelites did when they painted blood on their doorposts. You're marking yourself for divine intervention. Type it. Father, I step into what you prepared. I accept what you arranged. I receive what you released tonight. The sky is breaking open above your life right now. Can you feel it? That's not emotion. That's the trembling of earth meeting heaven. That's the sound of what was bound being loosed. That's the rumble of what was sealed being opened. And this is only the beginning of what God is about to do through you. The silence is breaking, chosen one. And what comes next will prove that God's setups are never early, never late, but always worth the wait. But here's what you need to understand right now. Something just changed. Not in your living room. Not in your physical circumstances. Not in what you can see with your natural eyes. Something shifted in the realm you can't see but have always felt. Something moved in the invisible architecture of heaven itself. The moment those words left your lips, the moment you recited what God instructed you to speak, gears that have been frozen for years suddenly started turning. Angels who've been standing at attention in your spiritual atmosphere just received new orders. Divine paperwork that's been sitting on heaven's desk with your name on it just got stamped, approved in blood-red authority. You think I'm being poetic? You think this is just inspirational language to make you feel better? Listen to me carefully, beloved. In the book of Daniel, chapter 10, verse 12, the angel Gabriel tells Daniel something that should shake you to your core. Do not be afraid, Daniel. Since the first day that you set your mind to gain understanding and to humble yourself before your God, your words were heard, and I have come in response to them. Did you catch that? The first day Daniel prayed, heaven heard. But the angel didn't arrive until 21 days later. Why? Because there was warfare in the invisible realm. There were powers and principalities blocking the answer. There were demonic forces trying to prevent what God had already released. But here's the mystery that's about to blow your mind. Your recitation tonight didn't just send a prayer up, it sent a decree out. There's a difference between asking and declaring. There's a gap between begging and commanding. And when God tells you specifically what to recite, He's not looking for your request, He's activating your authority. Something shifted, something aligned, something awakened. Can you feel it? That strange electricity in the air around you, that sense that the temperature in your room just changed even though the thermostat didn't move, that awareness that you're not alone even though you're sitting by yourself. That's not your mind playing tricks. That's the veil between heaven and earth getting thinner in your immediate atmosphere. Let me tell you what happened the moment you obeyed. Let me pull back the curtain on the invisible realm and show you what your natural eyes can't see but your spirit already knows. 3 spiritual things started the moment you recited. First, heaven's radar locked onto your location. You know how air traffic controllers can see every plane in the sky on their screens? That's what just happened in the throne room. Your recitation sent up a signal so bright, so clear, so undeniable that every angel assigned to your situation just received your exact coordinates. Psalm 34:7 declares, "The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him, and he delivers them." That word, encamps, means to set up military position. Chosen one, heaven's special forces, just surrounded your address. Second, the assignment of delay just got cancelled. You've been waiting for years, maybe decades, for certain prayers to be answered. You've been standing on promises that seem to have expiration dates. You've been believing for breakthroughs that felt like they'd never come. But in the book of Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 3, God says, "For the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay." Your recitation tonight just activated the appointed time. The lingering is over. The delay has been overruled by divine decree. Third, demonic interference just hit a wall it can't penetrate. You need to understand something about spiritual warfare. The enemy can't stop what God has ordained, but he can try to distract you from receiving it. He can whisper doubt. He can manufacture circumstances that contradict the promise. He can send people to discourage you right when you're about to break through. But Revelation chapter 12, verse 11 says, "They triumphed over him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony." Your recitation wasn't just words, beloved. It was warfare. You just spoke with the authority of the blood, and every demon assigned to your delay just got served an eviction notice. Heaven's messengers didn't just hear you, they responded. Right now, at this very second, there are angels moving on your behalf. Not the chubby cherubs from greeting cards. I'm talking about warrior angels, combat-ready celestial beings who don't ask permission from darkness, they dismantle it. These are the same angels that shut the mouths of lions for Daniel. The same angels that broke Peter out of prison. The same angels that rolled away the stone from Jesus' tomb. And they're working your case tonight. You can't see them, but you can sense them. That's why the atmosphere around you feels different. That's why something in your spirit is stirring that's been dormant for years. That's why you have this strange knowing that everything is about to change, even though nothing has changed yet in the natural. If you feel the unseen around you, if you sense movement in the invisible realm, type "I can sense it right now." Let heaven know you're discerning what's happening in the spirit. But here's where it gets deeper. Here's where the mystery intensifies. The angels didn't just respond to your words, they responded to your obedience. You see, heaven doesn't move on good intentions. Heaven moves on activated faith. And when you recited what God told you to recite, even if you didn't fully understand it, even if it felt strange, even if your logical mind questioned it, you just proved to the invisible realm that you trust God's instructions more than your own understanding. That kind of obedience opens portals that doubt keeps sealed. Now the question isn't what moved, the question is what's coming next. Because, beloved, the gears of heaven are turning, the angels are positioned, and the setup God arranged before you ever pressed play is about to manifest in your visible reality. But you need to know what to expect, so you don't miss it when it arrives. Now, here's what nobody tells you about answered prayers, and I need you to listen closely, because what I'm about to say might save your faith in the coming days. The moment you say yes to God, the second you step into obedience, hell takes notice. Not because you did something wrong, but because you did something right. And beloved, if you think the setup God just arranged for you tonight is going to unfold without opposition, you're about to learn one of the hardest lessons in the kingdom. Every blessing attracts resistance. You know this already, don't you? You've lived long enough to see the pattern. Remember when you finally got that job you prayed for, and within a week your car broke down? Remember when your health started improving, and suddenly a family member got sick? Remember when you felt closest to God, and that's precisely when the loneliest season of your life began? That wasn't coincidence. That was spiritual warfare, and it's about to happen again. Let me take you to the book of Nehemiah. This man had a divine assignment: rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. God gave him favor with the king, provided the resources, opened every door. The setup was perfect. But the moment Nehemiah laid the first stone, enemies showed up. Sanballat and Tobiah didn't just disagree with the project, they mocked it, threatened it, plotted against it day and night. Nehemiah chapter 4, verse 8 says, "They all plotted together to come and fight against Jerusalem and stir up trouble against it." Notice that word, together. The enemy doesn't send random attacks. He coordinates. he strategizes. He waits until you're committed, until you've stepped out in faith, until you've declared your obedience. And then he strikes. Why? Because your breakthrough will always annoy someone who benefits from your brokenness. Let that sink in deep. There are people in your life right now, maybe even in your own family, who need you to stay small, who need you to stay silent, who need you to stay stuck. Your poverty makes them feel generous. Your sickness makes them feel needed. Your loneliness makes them feel important. And the moment God elevates you, the moment he releases what he's been holding for you, their entire identity gets threatened. This is why your adult children get uncomfortable when you start talking about what God is doing in your life. This is why certain friends stop calling when you stop complaining. This is why the moment you start praising God, instead of rehearsing your problems, people who used to check on you suddenly disappear. Your obedience exposes their compromise. And they hate you for it. But here's what you need to understand about resistance. It's not evidence that you're on the wrong path. It's confirmation that you're on the right one. Jesus said in John chapter 16 verse 33, "In this world you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world." Not might have trouble, not could have trouble, will have trouble. It's guaranteed. It's inevitable. It's part of the package when you decide to follow God with everything you've got. Think about it like this. You're walking across a bridge. You've been walking for miles, and you're exhausted. Your knees hurt. Your back aches. Every step feels like the last one you can take, but you're almost there. You can see the other side now, and that's precisely when the bridge starts to shake. That's when the wind picks up. That's when the trembling gets so intense you want to turn back. But you don't turn back. You know why? Because you're too close. Because you've come too far. Because the shaking isn't a sign to retreat, it's a sign that you're about to arrive. Every storm after your obedience is confirmation, not condemnation. When the Israelites finally left Egypt after 400 years of bondage, what happened? Pharaoh changed his mind and chased them with his entire army. They got to the Red Sea, trapped between water and warriors, and they cried out, "Did you bring us out here to die?" But God wasn't killing them. He was positioning them for the greatest miracle they'd ever witness. That's you right now. You're standing at your Red Sea. Behind you is everything that's been chasing you: fear, doubt, financial pressure, health concerns, family drama, loneliness. In front of you is water so deep you can't see the bottom. And you're thinking, "God, why did you bring me here just to watch me drown?" But listen to me, chosen one. God didn't bring you to the Red Sea to drown you. He brought you here to split it. He brought you here to show you that what looks impossible to you is inevitable to him. He brought you here so that when you walk through on dry ground, you'll never doubt his power again. So, what will come against you after tonight? What resistance will rise up the moment you recite what God tells you to recite? Let me be specific, because the enemy is. Your phone might ring with bad news tomorrow morning. Your body might hurt worse than it has in weeks. Your bank account might show a number that terrifies you. Your children might call with drama that drains you. Your mind might flood with doubts that suffocate you. And you'll be tempted to think, "I must have heard God wrong." If this was really his setup, why is everything falling apart? But that's the lie. Everything isn't falling apart. Everything is lining up. The resistance isn't proof that you missed God. It's proof that you found him. If you've ever felt attacked right after a blessing, if the worst week of your life came right after the best decision you ever made, comment, "Yes, right now." Because I need you to understand something that will change how you fight from this moment forward. The setup wasn't only for tonight. It was for what's coming. And nothing, absolutely nothing that rises against you can defeat what God has already decided to release through you. The bridge is shaking, but you're crossing it anyway. And on the other side is everything you've been praying for. But wait, stop right there. Before you think you understand what God has been doing, I need to tell you something that's going to shake everything you just heard. What you've discovered so far, that's just the first door. And beloved, God never prepares just one door. He prepares layers, rooms behind rooms, revelations behind revelations, setups within setups that spiral deeper into his mind than you ever imagined possible. You thought this message was about comfort? It is. But there's more. You thought this was about validation? It is. But there's more. You thought God was simply acknowledging your pain? He is. But dear chosen one, there's more, much more. More than you were told. More than you were ready to hear. More than your wounded heart dared to believe. Listen to me carefully. When Solomon built the temple in 1 Kings chapter 6, he didn't just create one holy place. He built the outer court where anyone could come. Then the inner court where only priests could enter. Then the holy place where only consecrated servants could minister. And finally, behind a veil so thick it took multiple men to move it, he built the Holy of Holies, the secret chamber where only the high priest could stand once a year in the very presence of God Almighty. That's exactly what's happening to you right now. You walked through the outer court when you clicked on this video. You entered the inner court when you recognized your story in those words about silence and loss. But now, right now, you're standing before the veil. And God is asking you a question that will determine whether you enter the Holy of Holies or turn back to what's familiar. The question is this: are you ready for the deeper revelation, or do you want to stay where it's safe? You see, most people stop at comfort. They hear God sees you and they're satisfied. They hear your pain has purpose and they feel better. They get their spiritual band-aid and they go back to their regularly scheduled suffering. But you're not. Most people are you. Something in your spirit is hungry for more. Something ancient and eternal inside you is saying, there has to be more to this story. And there is. Here's what God whispered to me about you, specifically about the ones watching this who've lived 70, 80, 90 years on this earth. He said, tell them their age wasn't an accident. Tell them their journey wasn't random. Tell them that every wound, every scar, every sleepless night, every tear-soaked pillow earned them access to this deeper layer that younger believers can't even comprehend yet. You think your wrinkles are signs of decay. They're marks of wisdom. You think your scars are evidence of failure. They're proof of endurance. You think your age disqualifies you. It qualifies you for mysteries that require a lifetime of walking with God to understand. Moses was 80 when God revealed the burning bush. But do you know what God didn't tell Moses that first night? He didn't tell him about the plagues. He didn't tell him about Pharaoh's hardened heart. He didn't tell him about the Red Sea or the 40 years in the wilderness. God gave him the first revelation: I'm sending you, and Moses had to walk forward to discover the layers underneath. Abraham was 75 when God called him to leave everything. But the promise of a son, that didn't come until he was 86. And the fulfillment of that promise? Not until he was 100. Layer after layer after layer of revelation, each one deeper than the last, each one requiring more faith than the previous. And you, beloved, standing at whatever age you are right now, holding whatever pain you're holding, carrying whatever burden weighs on your chest, you're about to discover that God's setup for you has layers you haven't even glimpsed yet. The silence you endured, that was layer 1, teaching you to hear his voice above the noise. The loss you survived, that was layer 2, showing you that everything temporary must fall away so you can grab hold of what's eternal. The isolation you felt, that was layer 3, separating you from every voice that would drown out what he's about to say. But here's layer 4, and this is where it gets dangerous. This is where casual believers turn back. This is where Sunday morning Christians decide they've heard enough. God is about to give you an instruction. Not a suggestion, not a recommendation, an instruction. One specific thing he needs you to recite, to speak out loud, to declare with your mouth, to prophesy into the atmosphere of your life. And when you do, everything he's been setting up in the invisible realm will crash into your visible reality with such force that you'll never doubt his presence again. But that instruction isn't for the curious. It's for the committed. It's not for those who want inspiration, it's for those who want transformation. It's not for people looking for a nice message, it's for people ready to partner with heaven in a way that will cost them their comfort and give them their destiny. There's a divine plan unfolding tomorrow morning when you open your eyes. There's a supernatural appointment in your next decision. There's a heavenly strategy in your next conversation, your next phone call, your next moment of choice. But you'll only see it if you're willing to walk through this second door. Tonight was the door, chosen one. The outer door that got your attention, that made you feel seen, that validated your pain. But now you must walk through the hallway. You must move deeper. You must hunger for the Holy of Holies, where God doesn't just comfort you, He commissions you. Write "Show me more" if you're ready for the deeper revelation. Write it if you're tired of shallow spirituality. Write it if you're ready to discover what God has been hiding in the layers of this setup. Write it if you want the instruction that will change everything. Because what comes next isn't for everyone, but it might be for you. You know that feeling when you wake up in the middle of the night and you're not quite sure where you are. For just a moment, you're suspended between sleep and waking, between dream and reality, between what was and what is. That's where you are right now, beloved, not lost. In transition, you're standing in a hallway, a narrow passage, and everything about it feels unfamiliar, doesn't it? The old life, the one with your spouse's laughter filling the kitchen, the one where your body didn't ache with every step, the one where you knew your purpose and your place. That door is behind you, closed, locked. No matter how many times you've turned around and reached for the handle, it won't open again. But ahead of you, there's another door. You can't see it clearly yet. The hallway is dimly lit, and your eyes aren't what they used to be. But you feel it there. Something waiting. Something prepared. Something that has your name written on it in handwriting you don't recognize, but your soul does. This is the place the Bible calls the Valley of the Shadow of Death in Psalm 23. Not death itself, but the shadow of it, the in-between, the transition. David knew this place. He wrote, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me." Through, not stuck in, not buried under, through. You're walking through something right now that has no name. After loss, after heartbreak, after long seasons of waiting that have stretched your faith so thin you can see through it like worn fabric. You've been saying goodbye to everything: familiar friends who've passed on, strength that's faded, independence that's slipped away, one doctor's visit at a time. And here you stand, in the hallway, between what you were and what you're becoming, between the life you built and the life God is building. Between the old covenant and the new one He's about to establish over your final years. Step by step, that's all He's asking. Not giant leaps, not superhuman faith. Just one foot in front of the other, breath by breath, heartbeat by heartbeat. You are crossing over, dear one. You may not feel victorious. You may feel like you're barely surviving. But crossing over doesn't require strength, it requires surrender. It doesn't demand speed, it demands trust. Think about the Israelites at the Jordan River in Joshua chapter 3. 40 years of wilderness behind them, the promised land ahead. But between them and their destiny was a river at flood stage, impossible to cross, terrifying to approach. And God said something that should shake you to your core. When the soles of the priests' feet touch the water, it will part. Not before they step, not after they see the path. When they step, while the water is still raging, while it still looks impossible, while every logical voice is screaming, "Turn back." Your hallway feels like that river, doesn't it? You can't see the other side. You don't know how you're going to make it through. The flood of bills, the flood of loneliness, the flood of physical pain, it's all rushing at you, and you're supposed to just step forward? Yes. Because heaven didn't pull you this far to leave you halfway. God didn't sustain you through 70, 80, 90 years of life just to abandon you in the transition. He didn't bring you out of Egypt to let you drown in the Jordan. Every step you're taking right now is being watched by heaven. Every breath you draw is being counted as an act of faith. Every morning you choose to get out of bed when staying down would be easier. That's you walking through the hallway. That's you refusing to camp in the in-between. And at the end of this hallway, something is waiting for you. Not just rest, not just relief. Something you've been preparing for your entire life without even knowing it. A purpose so specific to this season, so perfectly designed for who you are right now, not who you were 40 years ago, that it could only be fulfilled by someone who's walked this exact path. You're not in the hallway because you took a wrong turn. You're in the hallway because it's the only way to get where God is taking you. The old door had to close so the new one could open. The old identity had to die so the new calling could be born. Say, I'm walking forward if you know you're in transition, if you feel the hallway around you, if you're done looking back and ready to step toward whatever is waiting ahead. Because chosen one, the setup isn't just behind you, it's ahead of you. And what comes next will prove that the hallway was never empty, it was full of divine preparation. Now listen to me very carefully, chosen one, because what I'm about to tell you isn't theory. This isn't some feel-good spiritual talk that sounds nice but changes nothing. What I'm giving you right now are specific, tangible markers that heaven is about to drop into your life like breadcrumbs from the throne room itself. In the next 48 hours, and I want you to mark this moment right now, look at the clock. Remember this exact time you are going to see divine fingerprints all over your circumstances. God is about to confirm that this setup is real, that this night wasn't random, that you hearing my voice right now was orchestrated from eternity. But here's what you need to understand. These signs aren't just pretty coincidences to make you feel warm inside. These are heaven's way of giving you coordinates. These are God's method of saying, yes, child, I see you, I'm here. And what comes next requires you to pay attention. The first sign will come through an unexpected call or message. Someone you haven't heard from in months, maybe years, is going to reach out. It might be a phone call that makes your heart skip. It might be a letter in the mailbox that has your name written in handwriting you recognize. It might be a text message from a number you almost deleted. And when it happens, don't you dare dismiss it as coincidence. That's God using human voices to confirm divine assignments. Remember Esther? Chapter 4, verse 14. Mordecai sent her a message at the exact moment she needed to hear it. Who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this? That message changed everything. Your message is coming too. The second sign will be a strange, unexplainable peace that washes over you. You know that anxiety that's been sitting on your chest like a boulder for months, that financial worry that wakes you up at 3 a.m. in a cold sweat, that health concern that's been gnawing at the back of your mind. Suddenly, and I mean suddenly, it's going to lift. Not because circumstances changed, but because something in the spiritual atmosphere shifted. You're going to take a deep breath and realize you haven't breathed that freely in years. Philippians 4-7 calls it the peace of God, which transcends all understanding. It doesn't make sense, it shouldn't be there, but it is. And that peace isn't just comfort, beloved. That peace is confirmation. That's God saying, I've got this. Stop fighting. The setup is already complete. The third sign, and this one's going to shock you, a problem that's been delayed, stuck, frozen in place for months or even years, is suddenly going to start moving. That insurance claim that's been sitting in limbo, suddenly approved. That family conflict that seemed permanent, suddenly thawing. That medical issue that doctors couldn't figure out, suddenly shifting. It won't make logical sense. There will be no explanation for why now, why suddenly, why after all this time. But you'll know. Deep in your spirit, you'll know this is heaven's hand moving on your behalf. Think about the pool of Bethesda in John chapter 5. That paralyzed man had been stuck for 38 years. 38 years of waiting, hoping, watching others get their miracle while he stayed trapped. Then Jesus showed up and asked one question, do you want to get well? The setup had been arranged. The moment had arrived. And what seemed permanent became past tense in seconds. The fourth sign will be a number. You're going to see it everywhere. On the clock, maybe 11:11, maybe 3:33, maybe 12:12. On receipts, on license plates, on page numbers when you open your Bible. And every time you see it, something in your chest will leap. That's not numerology, dear one. That's heaven getting your attention. That's God using the language of repetition to say, I'm speaking. Are you listening? The fifth sign will be a door. Not a metaphorical door, an actual door. Someone is going to invite you somewhere you weren't planning to go. An opportunity is going to present itself that seems small, insignificant, barely worth your time. And everything in you will want to say no, because you're tired, because it's easier to stay home, because what difference could it make? But that door is the setup's entry point. That invitation is heaven's instruction disguised as human kindness. Don't ignore these signs. Don't explain them away. Don't let logic steal what the Spirit is confirming. These markers aren't just showing up to make you feel better. They're guiding your next step. They're confirming that the recitation I'm about to give you has power behind it. They're proving that God laid this whole setup for you tonight. Write 48 hours if you're ready for the signs heaven will send. Because, beloved, what you're about to recite is going to activate everything God positioned while you were sitting in silence. But first, you need to understand why this recitation carries so much weight. Beloved chosen one, as we come to the end of this sacred moment together, I need you to hold on to 3 eternal truths that will anchor your soul in the days ahead. First, tonight was not an accident. The setup has been arranged. God positioned you here at this exact moment to receive confirmation that your silence wasn't abandonment, it was preparation. Every loss, every tear, every lonely night was heaven making room for what's coming next. Second, the signs I just gave you are real. In the next 48 hours, you will see heaven's fingerprints on your life. The unexpected call, the strange peace, the delayed problem suddenly moving, the repeating numbers, the door that opens, these aren't coincidences. These are divine markers confirming that God sees you, knows you, and is actively working on your behalf right now. Third, what you recite matters. The words you speak over your life, over your circumstances, over your future, carry weight in the spiritual realm. Your confession becomes your confirmation. Your declaration activates what God has already positioned. But here's what I need you to understand. With absolute certainty, you are not walking this path alone. Right now, as you sit in that quiet room, as you wrestle with the weight of years and the uncertainty of tomorrow, the God who created the universe is leaning in close. He hasn't forgotten you. He hasn't moved on to someone younger, stronger, more capable. He chose you at your age, with your story, with your scars, because what He's about to do requires exactly who you are. And beyond God's presence, you have a community right here. Look at these comments, see these hearts connecting, feel these spirits resonating. You are surrounded by thousands of chosen ones just like you, people who felt forgotten, people who've sat in the silence, people who understand what it means to wait on God when waiting hurts. We are here. We see you. We believe with you. We will pray for you. So let me ask you this one final question, and let it settle deep in your spirit. If God went to all this trouble to set up this divine appointment tonight, to arrange every detail that brought you to this moment, to speak directly to your situation through my voice, what are you going to do with this confirmation? Before you close this video, before you go back to your normal evening, I want to pray over you. And I don't just mean words, I mean I want to stand in the gap for you right now, as if I'm placing my hand on your shoulder in your living room. Heavenly Father, I lift up every precious soul who has stayed with me through this entire message. Lord, you know their names. You know the empty chairs at their tables. You know the medical bills stacked on their counters. You know the children who don't call. You know the loneliness that sits in their chest like a stone. You know every tear they've cried when no one was watching. God, I'm asking you right now, let them feel your presence. not as a concept, not as a memory, but as a living, breathing reality in their homes tonight. Wrap your arms around them. Whisper to their spirits that they matter, that they're seen, that their story isn't over. I pray for divine confirmation in the next 48 hours. Let those signs manifest clearly, undeniably, powerfully. Send the unexpected call. Pour out that supernatural peace. Move that stuck situation. Show them the numbers. Open that door. Let them know beyond any shadow of doubt that heaven is actively working on their behalf. Father, provide for their needs. Heal their bodies. Restore their families. Ease their financial burdens. Give them strength for today and bright hope for tomorrow. And most of all, remind them that their age is not a limitation, it's a qualification. Their years are not a countdown, they're a coronation. In Jesus' mighty name, I seal this prayer and release these beloved ones into their divine setup. Amen. Now, I want to hear from you. In the comments below, tell me what stirred in your spirit tonight. Share what God spoke to you. Ask for prayer if you need it. This community will surround you. And please, if this message touched your soul, share it with someone who's sitting in silence right now, wondering if God still sees them. Remind them they're not alone. Thank you for trusting me with your time tonight. If you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. Your breakthrough journey is just beginning, and I don't want you to miss what God releases next. You are chosen, you are seen, you are loved, and your setup is complete. Now, go and recite what heaven has prepared for you to speak. God bless you, warrior. Your finest hour is ahead.